And he does a Michael Jordan. You know, he's got his arms up like this, and his tongue goes out when he's really constant down slope a little bit.
That's adorable. Well, we are live, Dr. Tom and Michelle. So hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. It's Tuesday, 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Central. No, it's 5 o'clock Mountain. And here in Costa Rica, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock Eastern, midnight in Dublin, 1 a.m. in London and most of Europe, 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. Wednesday morning in Australia, 11:30 a.m. in New Zealand, I think. And it's Facebook Live. And hello, everyone. It's that time of month every year where I get to do Q&A with Michelle Ross. And it's just such a pleasure. And hi, Michelle.
Hi, Dr. Tom.
Yes.
So happy to be here.
Oh, thank you. Me too. Me too. And I was just saying that on this tour in the U.S. speaking tour I just did, that a number of people came up to me at conferences and said, you know, that Facebook Live really helps. It helped me with my patient, ... or it helped me personally. I think there were 4 or 5 people in 9 or 10 days somewhere in the country where I was that made those comments. So it reinforced for me just the impact we're having and how great it is. So tell us where you're from. Tell us you're out there, your name and where you're from. And here comes Marzi and Gio. So I can give Marzi the phone and she'll find Facebook Live for me. And I can take Gio, his arms are all stretched out here. And let's see, there we go.
Gio. Hi, Marzi. Hi, Gio.
Look.
Hi, cutie.
Michelle.
I hear you can walk.
Yes. Yes. Like, hi. Yes. Isn't that so great? Yes. It's so great. It's just a joy to watch this beautiful little human being develop every day and see the new things that happen every day. It's really quite wonderful. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be here often enough, you know, and to be 24/7. Yeah, look, oh, there's Daddy and Gio. Yes. Yes, there we are. He's seeing us on the phone at the same time. So that's kind of cute. So Michelle, let's go to the first question and then I'll say hello to some people as we move forward.
Okay, the first question is from Sarah. What type of continuous glucose monitor do you recommend?
Oh, he's not done yet. What? Don't show the bum bum. Okay, I'll hide the bum bum.
Yes.
I'll hide the bum bum. So there is a really good question, Sarah. There is a company called Levels that brought to my awareness the technology advances in the world of glucose monitoring. And now, if you go to levels.blog, you can see what they've got. They are cutting edge. And I just learned that there's at least one other company offering something similar. Levels is still in beta, so that I don't think it's available for everyone yet. I'm not sure. There might be a waiting list, but you should be able to find out. LEVELS, levels.blog. And then if there's a .com after that, I don't remember. But the concept is, and what I think we're all going to be using within the year is a patch, like a nicotine patch, but it's a patch that goes on your arm and it sends signals to an app on your phone. And it's real-time blood sugar monitoring. So you take your blood sugar when you sit down to eat, and you eat a quinoa and shrimp meal, and then an hour later, you just open the app and what's my blood sugar? 2 hours later, what's my blood sugar? What's my blood sugar? And you can see what foods you select, what the effect is on your body. Given that we all are biochemically unique, how we've lived our lives, how many toxins we've got in our body, all the stress hormones or lack of that we have. So our responses are similar, but not identical to the same types of foods in general. So you'll be able to specifically see what works for you. And this is a new era in self-monitoring medicine that's coming. Well, it's here, actually. We just aren't quite sure how to tap into it yet. But that is cutting edge, state of the art, and no one will be able to argue with you. If your blood sugar, if you find yourself yawning and I didn't know I was so tired. And then you go back and you check on the app. Wow, my blood sugar is 54. Wow. What did I eat? Oh, all right. I guess that one piece of pizza wasn't so good for me after all, or whatever it is. You'll be able to see in real time the results. So, and it's a critically important concept because arguably the number one condition worldwide that's affecting the direction of our health is obesity, and that we're eating the wrong kind of foods and our bodies are storing too much fat. And the result is our metabolism is going more and more out of balance. And it's happening to more and more people at younger and younger ages. So this is a feedback system that no one can argue with. You can't argue with when your blood sugar crashes because you ate shrimp fried rice. Well, it's brown rice. It's supposed to be good for you. And shrimp is a protein. Yeah, but a plate of rice is still a lot of carbohydrate and more than your body can handle, apparently. Michelle, do you want to add to that one?
Yes, so I have websites for two. One of them is nutrisense.io. This is one that you can purchase. And then the levels, I was given this code. And if you go to levelshealth.com/Dave and you put your email in, you can actually be part of that initial group.
Oh, isn't that great? That is great.
So that's a little secret. I don't know if I'm supposed to be giving it out, but we're just going to stay below the radar. So you can always come back in and just screenshot these, but levelshealth.com and nutrisense.io.
Great, great. Absolutely worthwhile. Everyone should do this to confirm that what you're doing is working on a daily basis. And you may not have to do it for very long to confirm that what you're doing is working, or you may do it for quite a while because you find out what you're doing is not working some of the time. Right. Okay, so let me give a shout out to Zusana in Toronto. Thank you. Mercy's here. Stu's watching. Laura's in Oregon. Hey, Laura, that's our Laura. Glad you're here. Thank you, Laura. Mia's here. Love Geo and Dr. Tom. So cute. Thank you, Mia. Joyce is watching. Brenda's in Kentucky. Tell us where you're from, everyone. Beth Stang's here. Hello, Beth. Beth says hello from watching. Okay. Nicole's here, and the list goes on and on. I'll get to some more of them. Let's do the next question, Michelle.
Okay, this ties in nicely with the last question. This is from Lori. Hi, Lori. Monk fruit and stevia both seem to contain erythritol. Is that an okay sweetener to use on occasion?
Monk fruit is has a lower impact on glycemic index than stevia. Stevia is higher on the scale of probably okay for you on occasion than most other sweeteners, but monk fruit is higher on that scale. I avoid stevia whenever I can. Sometimes I can't if there's a product that I want because there's a number of great ingredients in there and stevia is somewhere on the list. Oh, stevia, oh well, okay. But for someone whose insulin sensitivity is not very good and their insulin resistance is quite high, then I would avoid stevia completely. Monk fruit, I would be selective about. And the way you'll know is when you're monitoring your blood sugar after you have that product. You'll be able to tell if your body can handle a little of that particular sweet. Michelle, would you like to add to that?
So true, Dr. Tom. Yes, these are processed foods, right? Stevia is estimated to be 300 times sweeter than sugar. So that sends a message to the brain that sugar's coming, but there is no sugar there. right? So tons of insulin's released. There's no glucose to push into the cells, and it can end up creating this cycle where then your blood sugar drops and you crave something sweet, junk food, chips to get your blood sugar back up again, and can create this whole cycle of blood sugar dysregulation. So I also try to avoid stevia. I think there's a couple monk fruits without erythritol, but again, this is a highly processed food. We don't just, walk around in nature gathering processed monk fruit.
Right.
Whereas
Monk fruit is fine, but the concentrate from monk fruit is what they're using.
The powder.
Right. There's a couple of supplements that are just excellent supplements, and they have to put some kind of a sweetener in there, a minimal amount, so as to avoid the bitter taste of some of the brain nutrients, as an example. And I use a couple that use monk fruit, but I can't taste any sweet to it, so I know it's really a low amount. Chrissy's here from, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to touch on the erythritol. If there's any small intestinal bacteria overgrowth or dysbiosis in the gut, you want to avoid that like the plague. Any of those xylitol, erythritol, sugar alcohols, they can cause so much gas, bloating, and distension because it can really feed any of that dysbiosis. So I would definitely avoid those. And I love glycine as a sweetener. It's great to add to tea. It's a nutrient that we need to make glutathione. And that can be a really healthy, it's usually in the supplement department, and you can find that in a powdered form. So again, processed, but there's benefit to it because it's one of the ingredients that we need to make glutathione, the most important antioxidant in the body.
Agreed. Chrissy's here from the UK. Hi, Chrissy. We'll be in the UK in June doing 3 talks in the London area, I think. Lynn Trock is here from Phoenix. Lynn says it's 90 degrees here today at 4 p.m. That's cooking. Although Phoenix has a reputation, it can be quite a bit higher. Amal is here from Marina. I believe that's Marina Del Rey. And the list goes on and on. Michelle, let's do the next question.
Okay, this is from Mary. I'm not sure what Zoomers to order. My husband might even agree to the neural one and won't change a thing until he sees things in black and white. Can we do them? And are there any discounts available for a team? Oh, can we both do them? So
great question, Michelle. You know more about that than I do.
Yes. So the Neural Zoomer Plus, I just think is so essential for everyone. If you order that though, it's so critically important to also have a Wheat Zoomer. So let's see if there's a combo of, I'm in the website right now. Let's see if I can do this quickly, get to testing.
While Michelle is looking, Kim has a question. Do all soy products contain gluten if not certified gluten-free? And the answer is no. Some will, some won't. But gluten is not a common component of soy. It's not supposed to be. It's not a component of soy, but there is contamination fairly frequently. So you can't say all products. But anytime you're going to have soy, I would always use the digestive enzymes, E3 Advanced Plus if you have any GI complaints, or Wheat Rescue if you don't. That's going to keep you safe.
Okay, I'm going to share a screen, and I found it here. So if you come to the testing site and click on Vibrant Wellness, scroll down below the Zoomer bundles, and it's the Neural Health Combo, Neural Zoomer Plus and Wheat Zoomer. And you really need those together, because if anything is out of range on Neural Zoomer Plus, we need the information from Wheat Zoomer, because that's likely one of the root causes of why it's out of range. So I would do those together.
I agree. That is what I recommend to anyone who's going to do any work with us at all, that they begin with Neural Zoomer Plus, not Neural Zoomer, Neural Zoomer Plus and the Wheat Zoomer. They're just so full of great information, critical tests to do.
Yes, and you can add on celiac genetics at the time of the order. The add-on price is really inexpensive versus ordering it separately. You can also add on ApoE. I think it's all the ApoEs And that helps you to know if you have a higher predisposition to Alzheimer's. So all of that together is helpful to have. And unfortunately, there's not any discounts because it's just the price that the lab has. So the lab doesn't have any discounted prices for these tests.
A big shout out to the Benson family in Iowa and little Quincy. Hello, guys. It's great to see you're there. Thank you so much. They're our favorite fans in Iowa. They're here every week. Quincy sits at that table, and I saw the picture today that Quincy, your mom sent us about you sitting there looking at the screen. Everyone had finished dinner, and you're just dialed in. And good for you, girl. And feel free to ask your questions anytime you want.
I love that. Hi, Quincy. Okay, Violet says, how can one minimize or shrink polyps in the gallbladder? What causes them? What about cysts in the liver? And what causes them? Thank you.
Well, they're apples and oranges. First, the second one, cysts in the liver. You're likely looking at some chemical exposures that have been going on for quite a while that have caused a disruption in the cellular reproduction. Every cell in your body regenerates. So if you've got some chemicals that your liver, the oil filter, is trying to filter, and it can't quite get them out because they're not chemicals that are from planet Earth that the human body efficiently can filter and get rid of. You know, some of these things, it's really hard for the body to break down, right? And so if it's stuck there in the liver, as cells reproduce, you can produce a little pocket around it, trying to protect yourself, trying to wall it off even. So the first thing you have to do is some type of work to identify what level of toxic chemicals is my body fighting right now. And there's a number of tests that you might look at for that. Heavy metals need to be looked at. So you have to figure out what it is that your body is dealing with. And then you just go after it. You go after it to get it out of there, and liver detox. I've said many times before, our friends at Swiss Mountain Clinic, the first week for everyone that goes there, the first week is always the same. You have to take care of the queen, and the queen is your liver. That anything that you eat or drink, the only place it can go once it gets outside of the tube that you swallow food down into, the only place it can go is to the liver, because the liver is your oil filter. So it's got to filter everything. And some of that stuff that it's got to filter gets stuck in there, and you get a dirty oil filter. So it's critically important to identify what is my body accumulating and trying to fight. And there's a number of tests that can do that. Michelle, the Cyrex panels and also the Vibrant panels looking at chemicals and heavy metals?
Yes, Cyrex Array 11 and 12 are great. You might want to do a wheat zoomer first to get those total immunoglobulins, so we know that you're making enough total IgG for Cyrex Array 12. But those are really important. And then there's several zoomer tests that also test for toxicity. So there's mycotoxin. I'll go through and find those, the name of those tests.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, the one you just brought up, that mold often will cause those kinds of complications in the liver and the gallbladder. It's notorious for that. So you have to check for those.
This one would be a great one. Environmental toxins. Let's see what else they have. There's
Michelle, what's on our screen is the theDr.com front page.
Oh. You
circled the theDr.com.
Okay, sorry. It's this one right here. Vibrant Wellness. Is that not showing up?
Yep, it's showing up now. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's really helpful. This is a great combo together, the fungal antibodies and mycotoxins, so you can see what your immune system's responding to and also what you're urinating out. So that's a really nice combo. And then,
you know, I can hear people's minds here saying, well, my doctor will do that for me. I don't understand any of this. And no, your doctor won't. It's highly unlikely that they're familiar with these functional tests. And unfortunately, it's come to the point to where we never should be our own doctors, but we should be screening who we're putting our health faith in for ourselves and our families. Just like you screen for a good mechanic, and you're not going to take any mechanic anywhere down the road. You know, you're looking for mechanics for your car. And so you want a mechanic who knows how to have your car purring for you. And that means functional medicine or complementary medicine or integrative medicine, the concept of using more than what has been commonly referred to as traditional medicine. And that's really a play on words, though. You know, it's all politics that cause that. But you really have to understand more of the kind of doctor you want to work with, who's going to investigate with you, help you figure out where is all this coming from. Critically important concepts.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so much connection with gluten and gallbladder and liver health. So that test, wheat tumor, is just another critically important place to start.
Right, right.
Okay, back to the questions. This is from Jane. If you're trying to get rid of breast cancer by changing your diet but still have the skin change and pain, do you think that means the anti-cancer diet isn't working?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? I was reading another question.
If you're trying to get rid of breast cancer by changing your diet, but still have the skin change and pain, do you think that means the anti-cancer diet isn't working?
No, but I don't think it's enough.
Right.
I don't think it's enough. Of course, you want a diet that is anti-inflammatory. That's, excuse me, but that's a no-brainer. That you've got a chronic inflammatory disease, stop throwing gasoline on the fire. That's a prerequisite to treatment. That's not the treatment. And anyone that tells you that a diet's going to reverse your breast cancer, I don't think I'd want to talk to them again as your sole counsel. That they may have some really great information in some areas, but that's just a little loony, excuse me, but you never recommend a diet exclusively to deal with cancer. Now that's my personal opinion, but I'll be happy to go toe to toe with anyone on that. And for those that say, well, I've had patients who got better by just changing their diet. Yeah, and how many patients died just changing their diet? What's your ratio? What's your success rate? And, you know, we would like to remember the ones that we're successful with. There's a great, a friend of ours, Dr. Nalini Chekhov, Chekov. She teaches practitioners on complementary care for cancer treatments, complementary diets and nutrition and what works with different protocols. She spent a career talking about that. So I would look to her information for some guidance in that area, but absolutely not. Do not base your complete anti-breast cancer protocol on changing your diet. Absolutely change your diet. Absolutely, but that's not exclusive. That's not the only thing you do.
Completely agree. It's so imperative. Food is our medicine. So that's essential, but there's more. You need to figure out the root cause of that cancer.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is from Mary. I tend to have extra gas after drinking my green smoothies recommended by Dr. Brooke. I love them, and I'm hoping I'm not sensitive to something in them. What Zoomer would be best to tell if power greens, apples, pears, bananas are an issue? Thank you for your advice.
Well, that's a really good question. Probably the gut Zoomer. Probably the gut Zoomer would give you some pretty good ideas. It sounds like if you're getting some gas with it, there may be a sensitivity to one or more of the ingredients. I mean, people can be sensitive to bananas or to apples. You can be sensitive to anything. Maybe the apples are not organic. And they're very high on the dirty dozen list of vegetable or fruits with lots of chemicals. So, or it could be something that's affecting your microbiome, some component of all this that's affecting the microbiome. That if you have a dysbiotic microbiome, that's a pretty common reason to develop gas from a particular food or a combination of foods. So I'd probably start with the gut zoomer. Michelle?
I find that when people have this gas and bloating after green smoothies, that maybe they should take a break from green smoothies, have all those veggies in a cook form, steam them, blend them in bone broth, roast them, cook your veggies, because if your gut's compromised right now, while you're waiting for those results from the gut zoomer, which are going to be critically important to find out why you're getting gas and bloating after those. I've talked to so many people, they have a green smoothie every day, and you would think that's healthy, right? But they have high levels of oxalate because maybe there's some kind of yeast, mold, candida, something going on, and it's just exacerbating all other symptoms.
It could be, yeah, it could be spinach, or, you know, and remember that on the Neural Zoomer Plus, one of the markers looks for a component in the nerves of the brain and the nerves going to the eyes called aquaporin 4. That's just a nerve component, but if you make antibodies to that one, it could be because you have a sensitivity to one of 4 foods, pretty common. And they are spinach, tomato, corn, and soy. So if you have a sensitivity to spinach, and because of your genetics and how you lived your life, those antibodies to spinach make antibodies to aquaporin 4, you develop inflammation in your brain and central nervous system. So, but spinach is a good food. Yes, it is for most people, but not everyone. The only thing that's healthy for everyone on the planet is healthy water. That's it. Everything else our bodies have to do something with, and be everything, and be well. Raspberries are healthy, yes, for most people, but some people can't handle raspberries. Some can't. So it's really back to biochemical individuality. You know, it just depends on the individual. So I agree with Michelle, and that's why it's so great to be doing these Q&As together, because she's the one boots in the trenches working with people on a day-to-day on their food selections. Well, if you're getting gas from green smoothies, don't drink green smoothies, right? For a while, give them a break, eat the food. Great suggestion on that. But I'd also do the gut zoomer, and I'd want to see what's going on there.
100%. Completely agree. Okay, this is a great one from Lori. I did zoomer test to find cause of high antibodies. The corn zoomer was in control. However, the lectin zoomer showed moderately high reactivity to corn. Overall, my reactivity to lectins was low. Which test trumps, corn or lectin zoomer? Confused.
Now, that's interesting. I do not recall, Michelle, maybe you do, if the corn zoomer includes the lectin components that are in the lectin zoomer.
No, they don't overlap.
Yeah, so that it's apples and oranges. You're looking at different components of corn. If it's positive, it's positive. And so, you know, it's like people do a blood test looking for antibodies to wheat, and it comes back negative. Or this is so common. We've dealt with this for 30 years. The only test that was available for many, many years is called alpha-gliadin. It's the gluten, one of the gluten proteins in wheat. And you do the test for alpha-gliadin, it comes back negative. And then the doctor tells you, well, it's okay to eat wheat. See, here's the answer. It's negative for gluten. But there's 62 different components in wheat that can trigger an immune response. Alpha-gliadin is one of them. Well, but why don't they check all 62? That's the question that we've been asking for a long, long time, years. And now we have a test, the wheat zoomer, that looks at 28, I think. Is that right? 28? Yeah. So the best we have in the world right now is looking at 28 components of wheat. So that's a really good question that you bring up, and they're not overlapping. So that means the one that's positive is positive.
Yes, and I have them pulled up here so I can quickly show you, even though it has this obnoxious sample down in the middle of it. This is the corn zoomer. So this is looking at peptides of corn or various aspects of corn. If you have this corn wheat overlap epitope, that your body thinks that when you eat corn, it's getting wheat, and your wheat zoomer may not be clearing up because you have this aspect. If you're reacting to the GMO aspect of corn, you need to make sure that you're only having organic corn. Here's the lectin zoomer. So this is looking at the lectin aspect of corn and the aquaporin. Those are not tested on the corn zoomer. So if either one of these is positive, corn is out.
So the corn zoomer is looking at the proteins of corn, and the lectin zoomer is looking at the lectins of corn. Apples and oranges. Really good question. And thank you for being so thorough in doing both tests and for asking the question. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, this is from Carla. How can I treat painful tongue ulcers that look like geographic tongue? I also have some Sjogren's-like symptoms, so not sure on diagnosis yet. About the tongue lesions, irritated gums, forgot to say I had for more than 3 months now, and I'm eating through a straw. I'm desperate. I've been WFPB for the past 3 years.
I'm sorry, she's been what for years?
WFPB. I don't know that acronym. Wheat-free
peanut butter. I don't know. Wheat-free PB. I don't know what PB is, but
I would do a wheat zoomer. Like, boom. I would do a wheat zoomer because I had canker sores, which are those tongue ulcers, for all the years that I ate gluten. And once I figured out that it was one of my triggers, there's 300 diseases and symptoms associated with gluten and wheat. So that's a lot, right? That was one of mine and completely went away.
Sarah says it's whole food, plant-based.
Oh, whole food, plant-based.
Okay. Well, first, what is a geographic tongue? In tongue diagnosis, if you look at Oriental medical literature, tongue diagnosis, a geographic tongue, instead of a smooth coating on your tongue or smooth surface to the tongue, there's all these deep crevices and crisscrossing, and it's representative of what's going on in the body, and it's indicative of long-term chronic inflammation and probably a lot of stress hormones. So the things that I've done with geographic tongue, it always guides me into exploring the value of looking at the spiritual or emotional side of the pyramid of health, to include some type of meditation or prayer or exercise to calm down the body. Many times folks with this, they've got some anxiety and there's a lot of stress hormones being produced. So we need to kind of quiet down the tone, not kind of, we need to quiet down, tone down the entire body for many of these people with geographic tongue. And it's really hard to tell for a person on a Facebook Live, you can't see anything, don't know the history. But the things to look for, it's not a problem of your tongue. It's representative, and the symptoms are on the tongue, but it's representative of a whole body imbalance. That there's this, and Gio's got a new thing now. Marzi says, Gio, how much does daddy love you? And Gio goes like that. How much does mommy love you? Like that. And it's cute, it's really cute. But a geographic tongue is representative of a body that's been for a long time. And so that may resonate for this person, it may not, but certainly worth exploring a little more. emotional or spiritual side of the pyramid of health. For those that aren't familiar, our premise is that there are 4 quadrants you have to look at for any health problem. And usually it's a combination. There's the base, that's the structure, and then the 3 sides of the pyramid. There's the biochemistry, which is where we spend most of our time, the emotional or spiritual, and the electromagnetic. And so the 4 sides of the pyramid of health have to be looked at for any health problem. And usually there's one that's dominant that gets the big bang for the buck impact, but maybe not thorough until you deal with 1 or 2 of the other sides also. Michelle, anything you want to add to that one?
That was great. Yes. Okay, next is from Rajendra, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I apologize. What about EMFs with the use of technology like levels? So there's probably a way to turn it off, just like with the Oura Ring. You can just put it on airplane mode, and then when you want to connect it to the phone, you put it back on the charger, connect it, the EMF, it talks to your phone, and then you can put it back on airplane mode. So I don't know for a fact if Levels has that. You could probably email them. But if you use it for a month, I think the benefits of getting that information about your blood sugar are going to outweigh the little bit of EMF activity. But you can always turn your phone on airplane mode when you're not wanting that EMFs, and then turn it on when you want the information from the Levels.
Right. This is a tool that you're not going to use on an ongoing basis. You may choose to check it out every once in a while, but my understanding is someone posted here that it's $200 a month for this thing, and it's well worth it if you use it for a month. If you use it for 2 weeks and you see what your current diet is doing for you, then you might turn it off for a while and then shift your eating style, give it a couple of weeks on the new style, and then go back and turn it on again. You don't have to keep it on 24/7. But you're absolutely right. There is some EMFs. There is. And I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday, and he was wearing earbuds. And so we're talking, catching up on, and he's in healthcare education. And I said, hey, man, I got a question. So what's with the earbuds? I mean, what are you doing? I mean, you don't use that when you're live on, are you? He said, no. Just because I'm walking around right now. And if I'm sitting down, I always have a headset or a speaker. I said, okay, good. Okay. But, we just have different acceptance levels of how much electromagnetic pollution I'm going to accept. And I just won't get earbuds. There's no need. I've lived a lifetime without, and I can use a corded headset or I can use the speaker on my phone, and works just fine. Okay.
Okay. This is from Mia. What's the best way to treat E. coli and fat malabsorption?
Well, a sensitivity profile. If you do a stool analysis, most labs will culture pathogenic bacteria, and then they'll expose it to different natural things and different antibiotics to kill it, to see what's really going to work. What's it sensitive to? That's a sensitivity profile, so that you're not shotgunning. That's the best way. What we often will do, if a person cannot get a test done for some reason, we'll give them the Biocidine trilogy. And we have a handout. Michelle will bring it up if you remember the URL for it. And it's actually not a trilogy anymore. It's a, what do you call a quin something? There's 5 components to it now. It's not 3 anymore, because they now include the toothpaste, Dentalcidin toothpaste, and Dentalcidin pump mouth cleanser. So there's 5 different products of the Biocidine line that we use. The trilogy is a spray, which, oh man, I just did a 4 cities in 9 days in the US. And every time I sat down on the plane, I pulled out my Biocidine spray and it went up the nose on one side and up the nose on the other. And I go, whoa. And my eyes are watering because there's alcohol in it. But it's going to protect me against anything, and then I do a couple of pumps in my mouth, which is just fine for the back of my throat. But I always do my nose, and I did it, gosh, that must have been eight times, 4 cities, right? In and out. So the Biocidine is what will, if we're shotgunning before test results come back, this is what we'll use. Michelle, do you want to talk about them?
Yes, so Biocidine actually did a study on this product, and within 60 minutes of spraying 3 sprays at the back of the throat, it increases secretory IgA by 66%. So that is incredibly immune modulating because our secretory IgA is made in the lining of the gut. So it's kind of our immune system in the whole lining of the gut. So every time I fly, same thing, Dr. Tom, it's every hour, 3 sprays in the back of the throat. I'll do it if I'm going to go out in a crowd and I don't know what I'm going to be exposed to. It's just really great to protect your immune system. The Biocidine Liquid is great for anything going on in the gut. So think H. pylori, SIBO, SIFO, anything showing up in the large intestines, E. coli, any of those bacteria, yeast, fungal, candida markers. It has antiviral and antiparasitic properties. Low and slow is the key. Start with 1 drop, titrate up as tolerated. Best to work with a practitioner, but you never want to take Biocidine without GI detox. You have to have a binder at a separate time. So ideally, GI detox is 2 hours after a meal or an hour before. You want it away from food, medication, other supplements, because it binds. And you don't want to be binding the nutrients from your food. Food's in our stomach. Ideally, about 90 minutes. As we age, it can tend to be in there a little bit longer when our digestion is compromised. But typically 2 hours after breakfast or 2 hours after lunch is a great time to take that. And then the Biocidine capsules, these are the equivalent of 5 drops. So starting with 5 drops, jumping to 10 drops may be a bit much for people. Biocidine LSF is really great for any of the systemic infections going on, but most of those originate with something in the gut. So again, Biocidine Liquid is a great place to start for that. And then let's find the toothpaste and mouthwash. I think it's under a separate, is it personal care?
The toothpaste was at the bottom of that group.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. There you go.
So Biocidine toothpaste has about 20% of the Biocidine in it, the dental side in toothpaste. So this is really great for all of these infections that originate in the mouth, and we swallow a liter of saliva every day. So every time we're swallowing, we're re-inoculating our gut with all of this dysbiosis and infections in the mouth. So if there's any bleeding when you floss, any periodontal issues, you're just sending that down to the gut. So a pea-size amount of this is all that's needed. Brush your mouth thoroughly, floss, and then 2 pumps of the LS, swish aggressively for 2 to 5 minutes, and then spit it all out. And we talked about you were going to try doing it in the shower, Dr. Tom. Did that work?
Yes. I put it in the shower, and now I'll do a couple of pumps, and I'm swishing it around. And if I do 30 seconds, I'm happy. But it should be 2 to 3 minutes. It should be, but I'm not perfect. I'm swishing it around and standing there. I'm doing my hair or something, but they're just such great products. They help so much. And if you think of that, Michelle just went right past it. You swallow a liter of saliva a day. Now, if you've got bad breath, if your spouse says you got bad breath, that means that you've got bad bacteria in your oral cavity. And you're just inoculating, going down into your gut, bad bacteria. You're feeding the imbalances in your gut by more bad bacteria coming from the oral cavity. So clean the cavity, clean the oral cavity. Dentalcidin, the toothpaste and Dentalcidin LS. They work very, very well. Now, I was visiting my friends last week in Seattle, and they've got 2 cats and long-haired cats. And, you know, I don't really do well with cats. And so by the time I left, by the second day or the third day that I was there and I was leaving, I stayed 2 nights. I'm all congested and I'm having a reaction to the cats. I went from there to my friend in Reno and I told him, and he said, well, gargle with hydrogen peroxide. So I did, and I'd forgotten what it's like to gargle with hydrogen peroxide. I hadn't done it in a while. Oh my gosh. You gargle with that, and you know it's okay when you're doing it, but then when you discharge the peroxide, you got all this foam. You know, it's like if you get a cut, what I always do with cuts is that the first thing you do is, you know, a little bit of water maybe to wash it, get the dirt off, but then you put hydrogen peroxide on it and you tamp it dry, wipe it off, and you put more and it's bubbling because it's killing bacteria. That's what the bubbling is. And then you wipe it off and I pour some more and you wipe it off and you pour some more and you wipe it off. And I keep doing it until it doesn't bubble anymore. And that's how I think I've gotten rid of any bad bacteria that was in the dirt when I scraped my arm or my leg or whatever it is. And that bubbling is what's going on when you gargle with hydrogen peroxide. It's killing bad bacteria. And you just feel it, and then you spit out it's all this foamy consistency. You know, and I did that a few times, and thanks to the cats, you know, I got rid of that. But then I brushed with Dentalcidin and swished with Dentalcidin LS, and I swished a little bit longer in Reno than usual because I wanted to get that taste of peroxide out, and it worked really well. I always travel with Dentalcidin and Dentalcidin LS and Biocidine. Those are the 3 things I always travel with, no matter where I'm going. They're in my backpack, and for good reason.
And GI detox.
And GI detox. GI detox.
When I use both of these, I literally feel like I just had my teeth cleaned. Yeah. You know, that amazing feeling where you're like, that's it, I'm never eating again, because I always want to have this clean mouth feeling, of course, until the next meal. But it's really amazing Biocidine at dismantling biofilm. And plaque is biofilm. It's exposed to oxygen, so it hardens. Inside the body, biofilm is anaerobic, so it's like slime, but this is an amazing thing to do for your health. I know that these price points seem prohibitive. They last a while, and we've had people that their dentist says, are you cheating on me? Who else is cleaning your teeth in between sessions? Because people who had to go every 3 months now suddenly get to go back to the standard 6-month interval, and your dentist will comment on, and your hygienist, on the change in your mouth when you use these products.
Yeah. Let's do a shout out to Lori in Oshawa, Ontario, and to Barbara in British Columbia. Thanks for joining, and welcome to you guys. Teresa's here. Hello from Louisiana. So I think it's Louisiana. Bridget's watching. Quincy says, I had 2 fillings. This is Quincy Benson. I had 2 fillings yesterday. My last fillings were in October 2020 and are part of what pushed my body into the terrible sick mind you. I believe God uses everything for good. I went without anesthesia yesterday because I know I'm extremely allergic to it. Today I have a horrible, debilitating backache, nausea, headache, and many of the symptoms I get when I get gluten. Is it possible that the composite dental filling material contained gluten? Yes, it is possible. Is that possible? Yes, Quincy, I'm sorry you're suffering today, honey. I really am. And if you have this at home, if you have 50,000 IU capsules of vitamin D, let's see, you're 12 years old, I believe, take 1 capsule, 50,000. If you have 5,000, take 5 capsules now and then 5 capsules in a couple of hours. That'll help to calm down the inflammation a little bit. And if you have powdered vitamin C, usually it's vitamin C to bowel tolerance, which means when you take too much, you get diarrhea. So right now you would take a little powdered vitamin C, maybe 5,000 milligrams And then in an hour, another 5,000 milligrams. And in an hour, another 5,000 milligrams. And then it's time to go to bed. So you probably won't get to the bowel tolerance level. But if you're still hurting tomorrow, you just take the vitamin C every waking hour until you get gas or a little loose bowels. And then you say, okay, I had 10 doses of vitamin C today. Okay. Then you stop for a day so your bowels calm down. And then you take 75% of that. So if it was 10 doses, the next day you take 7.5 doses all day long. And then for the next day, 7.5, until you get loose bowels or diarrhea, because you hit your threshold now again. And then you take a day off, and then you take 75% of 7.5 doses, which would be probably 4.5 doses. And that you'll find the dose. And when you don't get loose bowels or diarrhea, that's the dose your body wants. And that's where you stay. That's how you tell how much vitamin C. It's called the based after Professor Linus Pauling. The guy won 2 Nobel Prizes. And I have a video of him. He's 84 years old. He's got this great little beret on. Michelle's seen that video before, right? And he says, yes, my wife and I take 18,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day. And when we get old, we'll take more. And he just looks at the interviewer, right? Straight faced. And when you get old, wait a minute, you're 84. He says, yes. And when we get old, we'll take more, right? So I hope that helps. If you have those products, do take those. Michelle, anything else you can think of to recommend to her?
I would call the dentist and ask if the filling material contained gluten.
Yeah.
I've had people call before for their mouth guards, and it's important to know. And always when you go to the dentist, say, I have a severe gluten sensitivity or celiac disease or whatever, to get through to them, because a lot of times just the stuff that the polish they used when they clean your teeth contains gluten. So you always want to say, everything that is used in my mouth has to be gluten-free. Advocate for yourself every time.
Good points. Really good points.
Okay, this is from Cheryl. Is an anti-inflammatory diet key to getting inflammation down?
Yes. The most common source, the most common environmental trigger creating inflammation in your body is what's on the end of your fork. That's most common, most frequent entry into the body is what we eat. And so you want to make sure that it's not causing more inflammation. Basic 101. You want to get healthier? Stop throwing gasoline on the fire.
Absolutely. Mia asks, what are your thoughts about the urinary hormone test at Vibrant? Are the urinary hormones more comprehensive than regular hormone tests? What's the difference between the blood versus urine testing for hormones? I like the urinary hormones testing because it shows your cortisol levels, BPA levels, melatonin, etc.
Yeah, the thing about urine versus blood in looking at hormones is in the urine, you're looking at metabolites. You're looking at how the hormones are being utilized. It's a really good thing. It gives you more information than just how much estrogen you have or progesterone or testosterone. It gives you the chance for a more comprehensive evaluation. I like urinary hormones. Michelle, do you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I like them too. I am finding that there's such a connection with dysbiosis in the gut and hormone issues that if somebody has plenty of money to purchase the testing, it's so helpful for me to see the cortisol levels. Then I can really explain and express how important it is to manage stress and talk about the melatonin and balancing circadian rhythms, right? Getting daylight exposure first thing in the morning and not getting all this toxic blue light after the sun goes down. So it gives me more information that helps people to be compliant with the recommendations. But if you don't have a lot of money, doing for all these extra tests, right? Because there's unlimited tests. Most of us don't have unlimited funds to do all the testing. Doing a gut tumor, working on all that dysbiosis in the gut. Often when we heal the gut, the hormones come online and we don't even have to address the hormones.
Right. Agreed.
What about allulose as a sweetener? This is from Amal. I've never tried it. Have you?
I have not. Don't know anything about it.
Hi, Amal. Lucia, I have monk fruit sugar and it has erythritol as a SPAD. So we kind of already covered that.
Right.
Some people may be able to tolerate erythritol. And, you know, if you just remember, it's still going to send that message to the brain that sugar's coming. So eat blueberries or raspberries, or I had the most delicious mango the other day and it just was candy, right? It was such amazing dessert. So I think it would be best to avoid all of these processed sugars as much as possible.
Barbara is here from Michigan. Hello, Barbara. Thank you for being here. Cynthia says, thank you, Dr. Tom and Michelle. You're most welcome. Most welcome. Lori says, always creative and often humorous. Okay, sent 200 stars. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Mia in Chicago says, Dr. Tom's old stomping grounds. Hey, hope to meet you in person soon. Thank you, Mia. That would be wonderful. Look forward to that. Michelle, you have a next question?
Yes, Lori says, how often can coffee enemas be done as a regular part of one's routine?
How often can what?
Coffee enemas be done as a regular part of one's routine?
It depends. It depends on where your body is in working with the colon. If you have a very dysfunctional colon, you may need to put some attention on it for quite a while. What has taken 30, 40 years to develop this level of incapacity and function does not turn around in 2 or 3 sessions that you might do. It may be for a number. I've had many patients over the years. When I would send them for colonics, I'd get the report back. We put a whole report together of all the different things we were looking at. And after I got the report, then we knew more of what we were dealing with. And so, you know, this one looks like it's going to take a while. You might plan on doing a colonic a week for maybe the next 3-4 months. And if you miss a week, you miss a week. But the idea is here, you need to keep working those muscles to first clean out the garbage that's there. And the inside lining of your gut's the fastest growing cells in the body. And so you'll regenerate healthier lining once you create a healthier environment in there. And of course, doing a gut zoomer and rebuilding the microbiome is critically important and all that. So it depends is the answer. One is better than none. And for some people, they can have 30 in a year. That is not uncommon if you've got years and years and years of dysfunction. Not uncommon. And they see that they're getting better constantly. They regress a little because they ate something they shouldn't, or too much emotional stress in the gut holding, and it's gone the gamut. My guess is most of the people that I've sent for colonics over the years probably average somewhere between 4 and 10 in 2 or 3 years. Probably that's, but that's a guess. I've never kept track of it. The gal we used, her name was Erna Stout. Erna was in her 70s, big, large boned, husky. Yeah, we take care of your colon. Yeah. And she would get so happy when the results of a colonic were visible. You know, they're just all this garbage being eliminated, and you can see it. And she goes, yeah, we take care of you. Yeah. And so people would laugh with her on the table, and it was just a lot. Hi, come. Hi. Oh, you came to say bye-bye? Okay. Okay, is it nighttime? Okay. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, bye, bye.
You're gonna go night-night, Gio? We'll miss you. Mwah.
Yeah, Gio's giving me the hook. Daddy is time. So let's take one more question.
Okay. And also for those coffee enemas, remember how important it is. Good night, Marzi.
Hi, honey.
Remember how important it is to have organic coffee. That's critically important. There is special coffee enema coffee that's a green coffee that's not roasted, like an organic coffee that you would buy to drink. So that can even be more effective, but it's great for detoxification, helps to stimulate the production of glutathione, and it is also something that can help with the vagus nerve. When you're holding that coffee in for those 15 minutes, it can be very healing for the vagus nerve. So it depends. I actually had a client that was the only pain relief that she was able to get from the Lyme disease and all the complications. So she did it daily for when she was in a really acute state. But some people can do it once a week as part of their detox. And it just kind of depends on where you are in a healing state, but there's a lot of benefits to the coffee enema.
Shout out to Colin in the UK. Hello, Colin. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying up. I know it's a little late there. Shanquila. Oh, it's a question. What do you recommend for low normal blood pressure? And do you have any gluten-free vegan hair color products that you can use? Well, I've not used any hair color products, so I'll let Michelle answer that one. And for low normal blood pressure, the first thing you check is your thyroid, and do a complete thyroid panel, including antibodies, to make sure that your thyroid is functioning adequately. That's first on my list. And Michelle, what about hair coloring?
It's a good question. I would ask your hairdresser. I think my hairdresser uses all gluten-free shampoo, conditioner for me. So I think that's something to talk to them about. Yeah, I think we need to talk to the professionals on that. I have not done the research on that.
Paula says Alaska's in the house, and Kim asked, why would you need celiac genetic tests? And I am in agreement with you, Kim. In general, I don't think you do. I haven't ordered a celiac genetic test in a number of years, but some practitioners like to see it. It emphasizes the importance for the person of their genetic sensitivity to celiac disease. I think there's value in looking at genetic testing for the weak link in your chain. You pull at a chain, it always breaks at the weakest link. But I'd like to see a panel that looks at the genetics for rheumatoid and MS and celiac and psoriasis and vitiligo and alopecia. If we had a test that looked at all of that, specific diseases, I think that would be useful. But for the celiac genetic test, Michelle, when would you think it of importance to do a celiac genetic test?
About approximately 40%. I mean, there's arguability on that. 30 to 40% of the population carries one of the two main genes, either DQ2 or DQ8. Some of us cool kids have both of them.
Yeah.
Joke about it, but I think it's really important. If you're in that group, eating gluten is like playing Russian roulette. You don't know when you're going to turn that gene on. So I think it's really powerful to have this data for your own health. I mean, it was made such a big difference in my health because we didn't have wheat sumer when I first went gluten-free. And when I found out I was double gene celiac disease, I really changed my attitude about it and was much more label reading detective, squeaky clean, so careful, because I know that that's a weak link for me. Yeah. Right. And if you carry one of those genes, then that's a weak link for you. And you do not want to head down that path. I run wheat sumer on myself once a year. I just got the results back. and I had no elevated gluten antibodies. High five.
Yeah.
That was so rewarding. But that just
Yes.
like, it's so encouraging. I'm doing a great job with my gluten-free lifestyle. That's the first time I've gotten that. I've always had like one in the yellow, which reminds me I can never put my feet up and say I've got this. I always get to be vigilant, but I think can be helpful. And when you add them on, the price point is so inexpensive that it's just worth knowing if you carry one of those genes.
That comes from a celiac and has found the methodology that empowers her to stay the course. So that's really great advice. I come from the position that all humans create transient leaky gut when they're exposed to gluten within 5 minutes. And for those who need more encouragement than that basic knowledge of understanding and what the wheat zoomer tells us, for those that need more encouragement, then the genetic test has value. If they can look at it, if it's interpreted for them, so they can look at it the way that Michelle looks at it. What?
Use it to empower you. I think that's the great thing about genetics. Because epigenetics, we can turn these genes on and off. And celiac disease is the perfect example of that. If you don't eat gluten, you get to just turn those little genes right off.
Yes. Marzi just told me, I said, it's my opinion that all humans, yeah, it's not my opinion. That's the science. Thank you. That's the science.
You're right, Marzi.
Humans. All humans have this reaction within 5 minutes of eating wheat. When you read the science, it's very clear. Okay. Gio's like, okay. Oh, he doesn't want to come up. He's like, turn everything off, Dad. Time to go.
He's like, I'm ready to go to bed. We can see us.
Ready to go to bed. He's ready to go to bed. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so very much, Michelle. Thank you so much. It just goes so fast. It's hard to imagine it's been an hour. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and spending this time with us.
Yes. And we will see you again with Michelle next month, and I will see you next week. Thanks again.